Hello, everybody, and welcome to We Watch 100 Isekai. I am your host, Tequila Zaku, and this is my co-host.
Thermite Kitty and the other guy.
Are you implying a third guy, or...?
I'm just leaving it open for a threesome at some points.
I see. That's very forward-thinking of you.
Hmm.
We are here to watch 100 different Isekai shows on a petty quest to show that, there's something good in every genre.
Yeah, now, you may not have understood that from episode 1, because we started with Arifureta, but we swear this is being made with good intentions. We do want to, check out Isekai, see what they have to offer, and maybe, check out some stuff that you haven't seen before.
Yeah, because, I genuinely am one of those types. I believe that the genre has very little impact on the actual quality of work. It's just that for every single genre, you're going to have to sort through the garbage. And we'll be right here with you in this dumpster, sorting through this garbage and handing you the tasty morsels of discarded food scraps that are left, that are still edible. And today we're hoping to find one of those discarded gourmet steaks, and we're hoping it's Eru Hazādo.
Now, you wouldn't think that going backwards and getting the most old food in the dumpster would be your path to success. However, I actually am very excited for the older things on our list of 100 Isekai.
I am the most excited, absolutely, for all the stuff that I looked at, saw on one random list of Isekai, was like, what the fuck is this? I have never in my life heard of it. Now, Eru Hazādo isn't quite that obscure. Eru Hazādo is something whose name I've at least seen mentioned during discussion, but I have no idea what this is about, other than it's an Isekai.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about it. I believe I listened to an episode of Anime World Order where they talked about it. That is it. I don't remember anything about it.
So we'll be going in fairly blind, I guess. Thermite, count us down.
All right. If you want to listen to us, or if you want to watch alongside us, you can. If you don't want to, we will attempt to do this in a way that actually works. If you're just, smoking some weed or working on heavy machinery, not both at the same time, you should be able to just listen to this as a audio version of the episode almost.
If you're at work, at school, in the gym, doing all of the above mentioned, and if you're doing that, be careful that the joint doesn't burn down the equipment you're using to renovate that school. Yeah.
All right, so we are going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play.
Okay. Well, this certainly doesn't seem like another world.
This is a shot of Earth. Man, this makes me think of the digital world. Oh, yeah.
Big, weirdo vistas.
By the way, are we watching the sub or the dub?
I'm watching the sub.
I am watching the sub, but I'm playing the audio from the dub.
Well, I think it'll be fine. You know what? This is immediately a very nice looking and sounding opening.
Okay, looks like we're starting off on Earth.
In a school?
Where something interesting has happened. Something that has brought, of course, it looks like news
anchors and the police, and cracks in all the walls and ceilings. I like this slowly panning and focusing in on what's important after getting introduction.
Also, I do think one of the big
behind Eru Hazādo.
I do think one of the big differences between the panning in Arifureta and the panning in Eru Hazādo is that as we were panning, people were talking and doing stuff. Not a whole lot, but enough.
And we were panning along a sequence of shots that was slowly guiding us to a destination. Like what cinematographer would do.
So that means no one goes down there, right?
Man, this is a very 90s character design.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love, the animation's bleeding 90s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now wait, it's medicinal.
I love that they're not scared of, the giant earthquake ruins, but they are scared of alcohol.
The site is Katsuhiko Shinai, who made the amazing discovery right here. Tell us.
Oh boy.
You can imagine my surprise when this simple and humble student president found ancient cultural remnants beneath our school. I feel that
No, this appears to be the Star of Judas in the background.
I heard a literature club freshman found it. Oh, yeah? What a total schmuck.
I believe it would be fitting to call this the Janai Ruins in honor of its discoverer.
Oh, I really like the character of Janai right now. Like, he is bleeding character.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm Miss Janai from the Broadcast Club. I'd like to ask a few questions about your allegedly dishonest election.
In the middle of this?
How dare you say this to your big brother?
A journalist.
I can't believe they're related.
Completely up.
It can't be related
They
by blood. There's no way.
The Broadcast Club.
No, they have the same eyebrows.
They paid me to take this assignment.
Everything else is different, though.
President.
She might have colored hair. You don't know. Don't judge.
The rigged election. Well,
Man, the people watching this on TV must be like, wow, okay, I was here for the ancient magical ruins discovered in an earthquake, not into high school drama.
his testimony.
Hey, you! What are you grinning at, smart ass? You! That's it! Hey! Camera out of my face! But not so funny now, is it?
At last, the tyrant has been deposed. Good. I was sick of the bastard.
Oh my god! What was he doing at the school? Fascism!
What's wrong?
I really feel like such a snitch. I didn't mean to, but I overheard Ishijima from the baseball club in Katsuhiko.
By the way, this dub is not very great.
I wasn't.
Oh yeah, and this is clearly our main character, right?
I don't know.
Really? I think we're gonna stick with several of these characters going to the other world.
Oh yeah, like I do think it's gonna be an ensemble of the teacher, both of these siblings.
What's budget? Tell me now.
Maybe this guy.
Inevitable.
Wait, is that...
Janai was buying all
I can't tell if this is just saying Mr. Ishijima because it's an old school dub or if that's a teacher.
government funds.
That explains how he got into office. No one would vote for him otherwise.
With your testimony, we can
See, this kid feels like he's going to be the Isekai main character, but I don't know.
Yeah, but
Isn't that guy looks exactly like Janai?
Duty to Shinanomi High.
You know, the one we just saw?
Yeah.
Yeah, like cantaloupes. Good. That's exactly what we need to head this impeachment. Oh no.
And these guys were complaining about the fascism, jeez.
My world is crumbling! Why is he doing this to me?
Why does this guy sound like Emperor Pilaf?
God, I really love the expressions that, you know, go off of the face.
Are you getting subtitles for what's written on that? Because I have no idea. I assume it's not his name on top in the election, but...
Oh, yeah, I'm not getting subs for those either.
Well, that's just great. I'm assuming this leaves us with guesswork.
Mhm.
But I guess we're getting our main character just generally outpacing Janai in life.
Yeah. I mean, I do think, like, the character work right now is definitely, like, overriding the need to read the text in the backgrounds.
Yeah, and then you know what? That's what makes it good.
Yeah.
You really get to appreciate what it's about. You know what, Janai? Don't get down on yourself. I appreciate the surrealist sensibilities in your art.
I really hope Janai is the main character.
Mhm.
I mean, we're focusing a lot on him.
Yeah, but I don't think that'll happen. But I feel like he can at least be... I don't know, I feel like he might just be an episode villain, which is sad because he's radiating energy right now.
Oh,
Literally
yeah.
right now because there's just explosions.
Nothing, yet you always get in the way of my superiority!
I think he's probably gonna be the reason why he'll go to El Hazard.
Okay.
It's not that easy to get rid of me.
Also, I actually do really like Janai's dub voice. Like, it's ridiculous, but that is also the character.
Without you in the picture.
Because his sub voice does just sound like a mix of Dio and Emperor Pilaf, you know?
Mm.
I don't know what his dub voice sounds like. Can you describe it?
It's very... It's sort of like a more mature Emperor Pilaf, I think.
Fake love letter? Oh yeah, classic.
Oh,
But I must talk to you. Meet me after school in the forest. I'll be waiting, Nanami.
I wonder what she wants to talk to me about. Aha! Great! Maybe she likes me. But
This guy's a
what other-
dope.
he's an innocent boy.
Nanami!
See, I feel like this does a lot better of just using some classic tropes to set you up for, like, the story happening, as opposed to just using classic tropes to facilitate nothing happening.
I mean, if this was not an isekai, I'd still be interested in the student election.
I snuck my sister's robe and stole one from her ample collection.
Wait, rough copies of love letters?
She has an
Man,
ample
she puts
collection.
a lot of effort in.
The music club and another to Hayashi.
Oh boy.
Club.
See, this is also some great character setup.
A simple
Yeah.
ploy. It's for the purpose of bringing
Janai.
lifelong life.
Some real M. Bison moment for main character here.
Is he gonna kill him?
I want you out of my hair at least until after tomorrow's student government meeting is over.
No, I think he's just tying him to a tree for the evening.
I guess so.
Presidency is
I mean, he needs to keep him for 24 hours at least.
all like that.
How is he gonna overwhelm him? This guy's like 10 times more athletic than him. Janai truly has some delusions of
Oh no!
grandeur.
Yeah, he tripped
See,
into all
I
nothing.
can't- You know what? I can't not root for Janai. He's such a fucking fool.
Aw, yeah.
Yoo-hoo, Mr. Fujisawa!
Oh, it's you, Nanami. Well, what are you doing at this hour?
Is he like Onizuka-ing it up at the school?
So I made
That shot definitely makes it look like he's Onizuka-ing it up.
Wow.
The giant sake ball behind him with the cap still off is amazing.
tea to wash it all down.
What's he planning to do? What's he planning to do?
An exceptional student like
I'm willing to accept that he's just taking this at face value. I feel like she's got to be the one. Oh.
you charging me?
A girl's gotta earn a living.
What? Yeah.
Can't get away from me.
I'm really interested in her character.
Yeah, she's so interesting for how little she's done.
She's very entrepreneurial, and I wonder what the fuck those love letter drafts were for. The extortion seems to run in this family.
They seem to be a crime family.
The school seems to have some kind of archery club. Just push him over. This reminds me of a less competent Tsukasa from Fies.
Okay. So time seems to have frozen.
Huh.
Hmm.
That's cool. Hey, what the hell's going on here?
See, this boy's extreme obliviousness is actually really growing on me now. Before he was just
I
sort of
mean,
generic,
so
but
far
now
we
he's...
don't get a lot from him, but
Katsuhiko, snap out of it.
I hope we'll stick with some of these other characters, but you know.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Okay, no, this level of obliviousness is extremely entertaining.
Aw, yeah.
He just smashed the fucking board over his skull in frozen time. He's gonna feel that. Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
This music is very nice and atmospheric.
Yeah. Okay, got lights blasting out of the ruins.
Man, you could throw a sick rave down here.
Hmm.
Now, this obviously has all like, you know, very much that sort of, Orientalist style, vaguely Middle Eastern aesthetic.
Yeah. Hmm. Okay, it looks like it's just gonna be him.
Unless some other people in other episodes are just gonna stumble in here.
Oh, maybe. Okay, someone's in the monolith.
Oh, what the okay.
Hmm.
This thing's design reminds me of the Monomachia from Brigadoon.
Hmm.
Shoutouts to
Oh.
the 0 viewers who get that reference.
I mean, we could probably do Brigadoon at some point.
Is it isekai enough? Maybe.
So she seems
Okay,
to know
well-
him.
Yeah, or like this is a prophecy situation.
Hmm. Jesus Christ.
Reincarnation or prophecy? Make your bets now. We're betting for one comedy point.
I'm gonna say, yeah, definitely prophecy.
I'm gonna say reincarnation.
Hmm.
Then this is a very Zio Ranger setup.
Yeah. This feels like it's definitely going to just be him. Like, she's gonna
Okay,
use up
then.
all of her power to do it.
I guess I didn't quite. It isn't entirely unexpected, but it is still pretty interesting to see. Her outfit's real weird.
Hmm.
It's like half RPG combat dress, half wedding outfit.
Hmm.
That nostalgic world. That makes me
Huh.
think my reincarnation theory is on point.
Perhaps.
Or we have like a Digimon we were here as a kid thing going on, which I
Maybe.
guess would leave this as a tie. Okay, getting a lot of character designs.
Huh.
No, okay. We get at least not Jinai, but we at least saw the girl and
Yeah, the teacher.
someone. And the fact that the last character overlapped with his vision
Mhm.
makes me think that maybe it's like him and her memories transferring over with
Maybe.
each other.
Okay, a lot of planets.
A lot of galaxy brain memes going on right here. Oh, this looks pretty. This looks really
Yeah.
pretty.
This is actually giving you a really strong, like, fantasy energy. Like, this immediately feels like another world.
Yeah, I would love to have this on one of my Magic the Gathering forest lands.
Okay.
Oh, hey, you're here.
Oh, if that light was everyone, I guess it must be everyone who is at the school.
Which would be hilarious considering Jinai was left out of the magic vision. That probably implies that Jinai is just gonna be the extreme D plot of the show.
Oh, that'd be so cool if we did actually, like, cut back and they're still doing the election stuff.
He's gonna take his free meal when he can have it. You go. You hustle, Mr. Teacher. Jeez, you think?
Exactly what road will you be traveling?
You think I don't know?
That definitely made that more comedic.
The next person who comes along. This is like some kind of dopey parallel universe Shinji and Misato relationship.
And that's Pen Pen.
Sir?
And I guess parallel universe Pen Pen.
You
Mhm.
saw him too? I thought I had the DT. I need a cigarette. Everything's fine. Relax. Stay cool.
Oh, this is a really good dub.
I'm enjoying the sub too. I mean the sub dub. The Japanese dub. You know what I mean.
Ah. Everything's a dub when you look at it long enough.
No drink. I need a drink.
Nothing's a dub when you're deaf.
So I guess maybe there's alcohol in this world, but maybe like a big part of the series is going to be the teacher sobering up.
And not having any cigarettes. I don't know.
Mhm.
Would a fantasy world be more likely to have alcohol or cigarettes?
Alcohol. Like, because
Yeah,
you can
I
actually
guess
use
so.
it to purify water.
Right. And because, beer used to be a very basic
Hmm.
thing
Okay.
people ate in like medieval Europe. Although this is clearly more inspired by southeast,
Yeah.
yeah, geography.
This got sort of a Middle East vibe to it.
Yeah, it's definitely very much the like sort of vague Middle Eastern. We aren't really using a specific culture's influence, but generalizing the cultures there.
Right.
Aesthetic.
Blindfold you. I told you.
That's a very unhealthy shade of pink that his face is taking.
Oh boy.
What in the hell do you think of that?
Let's get out of here.
They're Bugs Ball players.
They really do look like insect football players. Okay. Are these the cheat level abilities?
What the hell?
Okay, so the teacher seems to have unbelievable super strength.
That was really something.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, that's such a cool effect.
Man, how did he get so strong?
No, question is he gonna also have that? I assume so. So we'll have like a plot.
I mean, I could see them each having a different ability. Let's see.
That might also be the case, yeah.
Oh yeah, no super strength.
I do appreciate that it's the teacher then, rather than Makoto that has it.
Yeah.
Puts a nicer spin on things.
The teacher just blasted them away with just wind pressure.
This is some real superpowers. Oh, I guess
yeah.
we're just wrapping up for the day.
They had a very mechanical whirring to them, so I assume they were just being told to go away.
Yeah. Oh.
Hmm.
Does this person look at... Did you see any of these people in the weird, like, flash that he had? Do you remember anyone from that that's currently present?
No.
Brave warrior, we are forever in your debt for saving the life of our princess. From what kingdom do you hail? Incredible.
There's gotta be a prophecy.
See, I think what makes me even well, this is also very much by the book. I think what makes me like this a lot more is that the main character is a lot less obnoxiously smug about knowing what's going on and having seen this all before. You know, like, you know, I think there's real value to keeping up the pretenses.
So these both seem to refer to him as Fatora, which makes me think, I mean, maybe it's a reincarnation thing.
Yeah, or maybe he's like a prophesied hero. We still don't quite know yet.
This must be fate.
Yeah.
It's amazing. We were on our way to consult a psychic this very day to learn the whereabouts of Princess Fatora.
No, Princess Fatora. So wait, wasn't he also called Fatora?
Yeah. And the design we had overlaid with him did seem to be male.
Really? I thought. Okay, well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I could just be wrong. I really appreciate how oblivious they both are. Like, the boy is, you know, he's more naive, but at the same time, he immediately understood this is definitely not Japan. Whereas the teacher is much more set in his ways.
The teacher's just, like, working through this a lot better, but it's mostly because he's an adult, not because he's any less of a dope.
Yeah.
I will simply not take no for an answer. Come along. I am Lance, chief servant to the royal family.
But you don't understand. I have a job to do.
Prepare the transport at once.
His backgrounds are still extremely nice.
Yeah. We are getting the 90s, 80s problem of, like, the really... like the like the very detailed backgrounds, then the actual moving art isn't at all like that. But
yeah,
I do like the aesthetic.
You know, I think the colors are still matching pretty nicely, even if the character models stand out a bit. And then the character models are obviously a lot standing out on purpose for the characters that are dressed wildly inappropriate for the setting.
Oh yeah.
The many tribes of El Hazard. She is Princess Rune Venus, a member of the royal family of Rostaria, whose bloodline has long ruled this land.
Okay.
She's royalty? No wonder she looks so beautiful.
This forest is so pretty.
Yeah. This is really nice. It's really showing, like, you know, the magic of the whole situation.
Yeah. And like the way that the trees have the sort of like canopy, but it's a very like it feels very man-made, but I know it's not.
Yeah, this at least it's like attended to sort of canopy.
Yeah, I guess that's the
Feels
best way to put
very
it.
much the idea of a society that's in unison with nature.
Yeah. Oh, the
think
palace
that's
looks so
very
good.
well represented. This is just, you can't quite tell whether it's in decay or it's supposed to be that way, and I think
Yeah.
that's a very nice aesthetic for all of this.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm so used to dirt marks on something indicating, super old, super decayed, but this could just be a sign of, like the door's a little scuffed up, but it's natural.
Yeah, like all the plant life being integrated into this is not because it's not supposed to be. Yeah, this seems like very purposefully integrated with the plant life. Like, very much,
Yeah.
like, that's pretty cool, yeah. You mean get kind of an idea of what the society's like.
Mhm.
I hope we won't be stuck here for long.
Okay, so they also, at the very least, are acknowledging the idea of maybe we should go back.
Okay, this society does not seem like it would have cigarettes.
No.
Oh, I guess we're at the Death Star.
No, we're not. We just zoomed out from
We're
it.
just
sort of
looking at.
There's a Death Star.
I guess the moon's the fucking Death Star. That's a good plot hook.
From beautiful downtown Shinonome. That's positively fascinating. If I understand, both you young men claim to have journeyed here from a distant world by means of crossing over dimensions?
Well, that's the best I could come up with.
Remarkable. That explains how you acquired your incredible power. It must be a side effect from the trip.
Yeah, you sure were kicking butt big time.
We give praise to the man who uses such strength to defeat the odious Bugram.
The Bugram.
Are you talking about those big bugs?
I mean, pretty obvious name.
There are enemies.
They are?
Our greatest strength lies in the surrounding countries of Russia.
So they would keep referring to them as tribes, which I would assume means this is a relatively small nation with relatively, like decentralized living spaces.
Yeah, like there is one princess who rules all of the tribes, but they are tribes, which also might imply that this is a more recent thing.
Yeah, this is definitely a world that's very set up very differently.
The Great Holy River of God is such a cool title.
See, once more, we're panning somewhere for a reason.
Yeah.
We're showing how far it is. Well, that just looks like the city the fucking Decepticons lived in.
Also, the pans are of really cool things, so I'm very happy to be panning over them.
Where are we now? Oh boy, Janai.
Oh my god.
Oh, he's gonna be with the bugs.
Oh, are we gonna do like two separate parties, both, on either side?
Oh yeah, it's because he was hit with a fucking board in the face. Oh, Janai. Also, he's standing on some kind of solar panel, I assume?
Yeah. Huh.
Maybe it's a magic solar panel.
Also, I assume the Bugram aren't just going to gank him, so maybe they have their own reasons for this.
Yeah, maybe he's gonna be like assimilated.
Yeah.
That's not a happy thing, but.
Oh, are we gonna do magic school?
Oh boy.
But how was the girl I found at school able to send us here anyway? There just has to be a way of figuring out how she did it.
I'm afraid the point is, my boy, we don't know her link to Eru Hazādo and why or how she sent you. It makes no sense.
Well, that's a problem, Principal.
Dean, not principal.
Teacher and student makes the damn headlines. What would the
So maybe it's a magic university.
It does feel like they're trying to do a thorough line of them both being educators.
Does this world have a PTA? I guess it would have.
Maybe?
Now, is that headdress doing anything, or is it purely decorative?
Like, it definitely feels like a melding of, nature, but also mechanical.
Yeah.
Also, that Mohawk kitty is so cute. Ah!
What is it?
First, I want you to see something.
But that looks
Hey, kid, why are you in drag?
That's what I'd like to know.
This is a painting of Her Highness and her sister Fatara.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, okay, never mind. I was wrong.
Makes sense. That's why everybody mistook you for her. Hey, where is this Victoria character anyway?
Fatara's gone. She's been missing for several days now, and
Mm.
we suspect the Bugram are
Now, this could be a thing of she's actually being kidnapped by the Bugram, or we could have just swapped places and now she's in the real,
Yeah.
like the human world.
Or it could be a reincarnation thing.
Oh yeah.
This was foretold in the Holy Apocalypse. When the eye of God Shadow Nation becomes one.
According to legend, the Eye of God is the ultimate weapon. When two princesses of royal birth unite as one, the weapon is theirs to command.
Okay. Huh.
That's some big Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer energy.
Yeah.
Okay, he's just. Janai, you're the
Oh,
best.
so cute. It feels like he's gonna turn the society to a fascist regime.
Oh no! This is really coming back to like a morally gray character as a character that does bad things, but they're hot. Or in this case, they're funny.
Now but a memory, the devastating use of the Eye of God will never be forgotten. Because we possess this weapon, our enemies are held at bay.
So it is in fact a Death Star.
Yeah.
Will not attack Roshtaria as long as we maintain a unity of alliance, namely that between the princesses Rune Venus and Fatora.
Wait a minute.
Okay, it's going a little bit fast for me, but I think this would probably be fine if we watched more episodes and got a bit more used to all these names.
I mean, I think it's actually pretty restrained.
It is, but
Like-
it's just like, it's kind of hard keeping up with... I just have hard times keeping up with a lot of names in order.
Okay. Oh boy, he's got a cross-dress.
Find someone else for the job, all right?
Oh man! Oh boy!
Tribes of El Hazard face crisis.
Also, I guess the big question is going to be if, can the two of them then use the Death Star or the Eye of God? Because that would imply then, like, she really is, like, she reincarnated into him, or if they are the same person.
It would make sense if that's at least a superpower he got from transporting, because it's probably going to be something.
Hmm.
My superhuman power will bring down this wall in one blow.
Or maybe it's going to be a twist now of how his superpowers have disappeared because they wore off.
Huh. It is interesting that the teacher can't break through the wall.
I think it might have been just like it was a temporary side effect from him transporting.
I'm gonna guess that it's actually like it only works on living things. Like if you were fighting someone, then they would, he would have the super strength.
Oh boy. It's gonna be Janai or his sister in the fucking Decepticon city.
Still haven't seen his sister.
Really? Is that true? Interesting.
The extreme difference in the architecture is so cool.
The shorts, I love how consistent this aesthetic is, despite the fact that there's like wildly different like places going on.
Yeah.
Ooh, draw me like one of your French girls.
Boy, Diva's design is really good.
The omnipotent Bagram Empire.
I am Katsuhiko Jinai.
Look at the poise this man carries himself with.
Could it be possible that your arrival in our palace is the long-awaited advent?
Sure, of course I am.
If it's true,
Oh boy. Is he gonna BS his way into ruling this kingdom?
I am asking you if you are the messenger sent to lead us to victory in battle against our enemies in El Hazard.
Oh no!
Absolutely legend.
This man is the ultimate fascist ruler.
Oh man, he looked at Ghostbusters and says, "You know what? When somebody asks you if you're a god, you do say yes."
Bagram shall rule all. Finally become ours.
Fuck it.
Attack,
feels like
attack,
someone
nothing but
has-
attack.
That's the thing, like, right? Like, I feel in another situation, Janai, in an edgier show, Janai would have just been our main character.
Oh
And we
yeah.
would have taken him a lot more seriously, quote unquote.
Comes one, God blinks. Wait a minute. Hey, Mr. Fujisawa, what kind of weapon do you think that the Eye of God is?
Don't know. I guess it's some kind of ultimate weapon. Maybe it's a nuclear bomb.
Hey, I just got an idea.
A drink's more important to me right now than your idea.
Man, he's bad alcoholic.
Okay.
Oh man, his power is he's powered by withdrawal syndromes.
I was gonna say, what if he's powered by daylight? It's
Ooh, that could also be it. That could be it, yeah.
okay. So they do have alcohol.
I figured out what turns you into Superman. Being sober. The less you drink, the stronger you get.
Oh, okay, so
Oh!
it's powered by withdrawal, indeed.
It is. That actually is really cool.
It's a character flaw that actually matters to the character doing stuff.
Yeah, and it is something where he can't immediately turn off. Like, he can't just not be drunk.
I mean, you can very easily just not be drunk, but it's not very easy for him.
No, I mean, like, if he gets drunk, he can't immediately stop.
Also, didn't I only just now noticed that we've been doing this for a long time, but this is a 40-minute episode.
That if we can somehow get a hold of this weapon, we could theoretically get back to Earth. So we just play along. And that's our plan.
This is a very much like go with it sort of main character.
Yeah.
Hey, baby, how about
That is a very inappropriate comment.
talk to me like
Yeah. I mean, he's not the best teacher.
No.
You're so beautiful.
thanks a lot.
I also do
That's
like
still
the
an
entire,
inappropriate
like,
comment from you.
like the entire scene of him getting dressed was really nicely done. Like, it wasn't just a hard cut to, oh, he looks like a girl.
Everything will be fine. You're very
Also, he does look like he's cross-dressing, which is always nice, as opposed to, we're just gonna change the whole character design.
Mm.
Ah, princess.
Gallus. You know that only the royal house is allowed in here.
Oh, can't you bend the rules for your own fiancé?
Now here's a man who's not gonna be evil or anything.
That I rushed here at once. I'm so relieved. If anything ever happened to you, my lord.
This is some real, I definitely sent an attack after you energy.
If anything ever happened to you, don't worry, I already took out the life insurance.
How did the bug room
How did the Bugram find out?
That is a big problem. Oh no, what if there was?
I'll be here to protect you. Pardon me, Gallus. Her Royal Majesty still needs.
I mean, there is the possible twist of he's just a creepy guy, but he's actually very sweet and he's not a bad man at all.
They're almost making it too obvious, so there's a chance it's just a strong red herring.
Mhm.
Princess, where were you during your sister's terrible ordeal? I'm afraid the princess was taken ill and bed rest was prescribed for several days. I'm sorry to hear that. Had I known, I would have certainly brought medication immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be a burden.
My voice sounds strange.
It affected my throat, but I'm just
Oh boy, the dub is really going ham with this one.
Oh yeah? The sub is fairly restrained, but I'm almost scared to switch now.
It's very. It does sound like a guy trying to do a cold, sick accent.
Mm.
Also, the Queen's fiance did sound a lot like Ganondorf.
He is a prince of royal lineage and the heir to
I see. A certain big country.
That is
So
enough.
besides the tribes, there seems to be other entire nation states.
Yeah, and I assume they're almost all on this side of the Holy God River.
Hmm. Well, will we immediately cut to him betraying everyone, or... I see.
Everyone attending the conference has arrived. We should join them as soon as possible.
It could still be a very elaborate fake out. I don't know.
Yeah, like
It
he
seems
could
like,
have been.
you know,
He could have been saying like, I was trying to protect her and it didn't work out.
What's that?
I have to use the little girl's room?
Oh, we've delayed the conference long enough. They'll grow suspicious if they wait any longer. Now, let's go. Enough of this.
Yeah, but I've had to go since this morning.
Well, why didn't you think of that before? We're having a family crisis here.
this is going to lead to a problem.
Oh, he's gonna pee in the middle of this conference.
Oh no, boy. This guy looks like he's about to fall asleep.
Oh, yeah.
Which, yeah. This is bad.
Mm-hmm.
This is, oh no.
Oh, no. I was gonna say, like, oh, he could say that he's still sick, but I guess the problem there is that they need both the princesses there to, scare everyone by saying they can still use the Eye of God.
Yeah. Nice cold water you keep going here.
is to address the potential threat that El Hazard and its allies face, namely invasion by the bug.
Mm-hmm.
But we still maintain the upper hand. So long as we control the Eye of God, victory over the enemy is ensured.
Your Majesty, do you truly intend to employ such a lethal weapon if provoked?
Are we really just gonna nuke everyone out of existence?
Past consequences. We must evaluate any drastic action.
I mean, yeah, fair.
Some Bugram divisions are already close at hand. Villages and small towns are falling as they
I wonder if they can't aim it. Like, if it's just a turn-on, turn-off situation.
time.
Hmm.
Agree with him. You should give us proof that you will use the Eye of God if the circumstances call for it.
My sister and I together are the only ones who can deploy this weapon. When that becomes necessary, it will be for the Allied defense.
Oh no, they're all staring.
But Princess, my people need proof. And they will
I do appreciate the, like, variety of character designs here. Like, they do all feel like they're from different tribes. Like, they're all based on different ethnicities.
This will appease all sides.
my point, Your Highness.
I'm glad it's not just a bunch
Hey,
of
can
Japanese
you
people.
launch a nuke right now just to show us you can?
Your voices are heard. I will send my sister to the three holy sages and have the shield removed.
Hmm.
Excellent. She is a perfect
Hmm.
for this mission.
Well, I'm glad to do whatever I can.
Oh boy.
Go see the old guys if you want.
Understand. I'd always thought that the sages were priestesses.
Oh no.
Silly me. It's been such a long time between visits.
Your Majesty.
Oh no.
You've already been to Mount Muldoon?
Not
Hmm.
from you. In preparation for this event, Princess Fatora privately sought counsel with the priestesses. Planning a strategy.
Glory to the Alliance!
I can't believe that worked. These guys are suckers.
You see, I am very glad this was the main character screwing up and then everyone else course correcting, as opposed to, him trying to fix it himself.
Yeah.
Damn it all. Where the hell
I think a show where the main character has to, like, constantly fix for everyone can be really obnoxious.
Yeah. I do think also the main character, being naive and not knowing what's going on really does sell the fantasy of it. Like, it does make it
Yeah.
feel more like another world as opposed to a game that he played once.
Yeah. That's a real nightmare. Yeah.
I mean, that's the long-standing sci-fi fantasy question of, is this a toilet?
I have a promise for you.
Go away.
Listen, Princess, will you please get up? We are late.
Huh?
We are late for your appointment to attend a review of the military troops now. Then you have a luncheon date with the head general of the army. After that, you have a lesson scheduled to teach you about
Oh boy.
Then this evening, there's
I
a
appreciate that they accurately show that this situation would, in fact, suck ass to be in.
Oh yeah. Huh, those spires look like they have something on top of them.
It looks like the entire spires are like either like machines or something people live in.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Time for fascism. I do think Janai is legitimate.
Janai is in his fucking element with this.
He's genuinely a very good villain character because we know he's going to stop at nothing.
It's a real good example of, like, you give a very small man too much power.
His sister is now showing up.
Yeah. His sister's gonna have the hustle on board. She's gonna, like, nail down the stock market of this world by the time everyone else is gone on the first quest. Janai, you horse's ass! Oh boy. Well.
Oh? Oh boy.
Well, okay then, yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. You keeping the wig on while you sleep?
Well then.
Okay, well that's a development?
But that's where we
Okay,
ended.
we're ending on that. Okay, what a fucking note to go out on.
Just to be clear, we ended on a character staring at the main character, then crawling up through the bed and licking his thighs.
What? Excuse me?
So my immediate thought was assassin, but now not totally sure about that. Also, the credits are playing over this, like, super old looking tapestry, and I really like the aesthetic of like sun on the the side of the humans, moon on the side of the bugmen, the bugrun, and then right in the middle they have the Eye of God.
Yeah, it's got even though, like, here there be dragon style Leviathan.
Yeah,
cool. Love the aesthetic. It's a very
really
nice looking show.
Mm-hmm.
I like the sort of stylized, more eye-like motif on the big destruction weapon, even though it looks more mechanical in the sky. Very cool, very inspired.
And I honestly do think this aesthetic specifically aged really well. Like, the older it physically gets, the more it fits the old fantasy aesthetic.
Yeah. Also, this is a very nice orchestral score.
Yeah.
Sadly, because we haven't received a proper answer, no one is getting awarded any comedy points. Because we don't know whether he's quite reincarnation or prophesied.
Which I'm happy about. I'm glad.
It's more on the side of reincarnation, I would like to say, but okay, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine. I'm cool. I'm not gonna claim the comedy points for myself.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that is episode 1 of El Hazard.
Yeah, that was a 45-minute. Huh.
I mean, it seems like this was a series of OVAs, so makes sense.
Right. No, I still think this is very strong first episode. I really like this.
Yeah.
So do you want to jump straight into a discussion? What did you give me your first immediate impression. What's something that really stuck out to you about this episode?
The artistic direction, I think, is number one. Like, the title of the series is El Hazard, the Magnificent Worlds, and it does feel like it was a magnificent world. Like, everything after they left school does make it feel like, yeah, this is an interesting place full of mystery, and, it's a fully realized world. Even the things we didn't fully flesh out, like, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, I'm willing to say that, yeah, like, each of the tribes is definitely their own thing, that, all the architecture and stuff has some sort of purpose, even if, we didn't explain any of it. It feels like an actual world, as opposed to, we just kind of threw some stuff up here, it's a fantasy world.
Yeah, like, there's some crystals, put some crystals on there, fucking medieval architecture, peasants, forests.
Mm-hmm.
One weird looking plant that's a fruit but not a fruit. Like, no. This all had, like, a solid, like, oh, this isn't an earth forest thing going on.
Also, and this might just be a personal thing, but I feel like it could have been extremely Orientalist, but I think that especially the scene with all the tribes and showing that each tribe is, kind of vaguely a different culture from Earth, like based on them, it gave it much more of a more general feel. Like, I was able to look at a lot of the then Middle Eastern inspired architecture and say, this is definitely, kind of like it, but it's not supposed to be. Whereas in lesser fantasy series, I've definitely looked at them and gone like, oh, this is just racist India.
Yeah, I really like the aesthetic that the main town they went to had.
Mhm.
The architecture being completely intertwined with various plant life in a way that really makes you immediately sort of get that this is a more nature-inspired and oriented society, in
Yeah.
contrast to the Bugron and also the big super weapon in the sky that's clearly more of a clearly seems to be created by a different type of society.
Yeah, the Eye of God seems fundamentally different from everything we have seen thus far. Like, the Bugren are more mechanical in terms of their architecture, but even that, like, the Eye of God does not look like Bugron technology.
Yeah, like there are like solar panels and hexagons going on.
Hmm.
And it's interesting that the dress style of the headdress of our main princess seemed very similar to the dress style of whatever our main villainess seemed to wear all the time.
Yeah, it does make me think that, like, that plus the big river that separates the human world, or, the humans and the Bugron, and the fact that they said that the Eye once attacked, their side specifically, makes me think that maybe they all were, like, one culture beforehand. And this is the result
Like
of
the
some sort of big...
river's like
Yeah.
yeah, like the river did a big is only formed because a big fucking crack was made in between everything.
Yeah, like, there was some sort of, like... I also really like the idea of that being the big result of the war, as opposed to, like, a bunch of rubble everywhere. Like, no, we did rebuild, but there is one big wound in the earth as a result of the bad times.
I can imagine this going to a place where everyone thinks the other guys fired the super weapon at them, and that's why everyone's fighting.
Yeah. I also like that right now we do have, in terms of the people that came from the human world, we have 3 factions now. In that we have Janai not ruling the Bukrun, but he's faked his way into being their messiah. Then we have Janai's sister, who is just a neutral party, and then we have our other 2 main characters, just in the human area.
Yeah, definitely very quick to go along with things. I would say like main 2 are some of the less interesting characters that we've seen. Janai is a clear highlight, and his sister is super interesting as well.
Yeah, which makes me very
Janai,
excited. Like, the fact that we didn't blow our loads with their characterizations means that the series clearly understands, yeah, this is going to have to go for a while, and they're willing to, let it go out throughout the entire series. Like, our main characters are definitely going to develop, whereas, like, someone like Janai, I don't think has to develop that much. Like, there's enough there that we can just kind of explore him and have him do crazy stuff.
Yeah. We'll get to see what the hell Janai's about.
Yeah. Like, especially with everyone directly stating that he is a fascist, and then him being completely willing to go to war. Like, I feel like his arc is going to be more of a, like, confronting the reality of the things he's been saying, and then maybe eventually going to a more moderate place.
Yeah, whereas the sister is probably going to have to have... It seems like she's probably going to have some kind of rags to riches story. She seems very entrepreneurial in her nature.
Yeah, and we did have the thing... like, on Earth, of her writing all of those drafts for love letters, which makes me think that she is probably someone who, like, I think that implies that she's the kind of person who can't definitively, like, go for one option because she thinks too hard about all of the other, like, alternative options.
Right, yeah, that's gonna be a really interesting thing to explore with that.
Like, that's such an interesting character note, and it wasn't connected to her, like, it didn't come from her. It came from Janai, which I find so fascinating. Like, it creates a sense of mystery around her, without having...
And that entire scene was one of my favorite scenes in this entire episode, because it sets up so much about both of their characters. You know that Janai is the type of asshole who would dig through his sister's love letters.
Mhm.
His sister is the type of person who would have various rough drafts of love letters to various people. And that's like so much already to interpret and go on with 2 characters. I'm really excited where else we can be going with all of this.
I think that's something that a lot of series with much bigger casts could learn from. Like, using characters to then inform other characters without having to make it just a, hey, that guy is really strong.
Without having them, using the way a character talks about another character, be informing what their character is, without it literally being a statement of, hey, this guy likes that. Not that you have to entirely stop doing that, since we already also had the scene of just them saying, hey, Janai's a fascist. But then again, that wasn't even that necessary, considering, yeah, we got that. We got that from his behavior alone.
I'm also just fascinated with how, like, I wouldn't say any of these characters were especially deep in the first episode, but they were still very fully realized. Like, they're all characters I understand, first and foremost. Like, because we recorded last episode and this episode at this, around the same time, I'm thinking of Arifureta a lot, and I cannot tell you very much about any character in that first episode at all.
Yeah, it had 20 minutes less, but it
Yeah.
feels like it had 40 minutes less.
Yeah.
Like, I was still, like, excited and not dreading this at all. I was like, the first time I even realized that this was a long episode was like 30 minutes in, because it was like consistently using stuff. And I would say, as used the time it had so much better. This is the
Yeah.
thing I said during the reaction. I'm going to say it again, that this show still used a fair amount of, fairly standard tropes, especially for its time. Especially with him, getting a random girl that likes him at the end or licks him at the end. You know how it is.
Uh-huh.
Him being the sort of dope main character, his entire design, the setup of like a school rivalry, the sort of teacher character. But I feel like it used those stereotypes way better to set up what the actual plot is. It only uses the shorthand to get to the interesting parts, as opposed to just using the shorthand, and it's all just shorthand for something that's supposed to be interesting.
Yeah, I think I've had a big problem recently with series that are almost exclusively shorthands. Whereas, like, I do think shorthand and tropes and, like, cliches, I think those are all actually extremely important, in that, like, you don't want every series to be Lord of the Rings. You don't want to have to build everything from zero. And even Lord of the Rings does, play into preconceived fantasy tropes, because it's just important to not have something that's 900 pages full of, here's some stuff that you might not know about. Like,
Yeah.
I think it makes it much more efficient if you can say, okay, you guys know what this character entails, or, this general premise, but at the same time,
Yeah.
like, using that as a way to launch into something more interesting.
Yeah, because, like, of course you can infinitely demand more explanation. You can say, oh, well, we should explain what a school is. We should explain what a teacher is, if we want to, like, go for a really dumb example. But, like,
Right.
yeah, it's using the shorthand that is given well, as opposed to just being too lazy to have its own story. And I think it's being carried a lot by just having really nice presentation.
Yeah.
The panning shots were all very nice, not only because the backgrounds were well done, because they always felt like they were leading your eye somewhere that you were supposed to look.
El Hazard might be, like, it might have some of the best panning I have ever seen in anime.
It's got absolutely beautiful backgrounds. I wonder who did those. Might be someone well known. Do we want to maybe launch into some facts about El Hazard?
Sure. The full, this is actually like a combination of different, not, how would I put this? Like, it is a franchise. The first, what we're watching is the first entry in it, El Hazard, The Magnificent Worlds, or Shinpi no Sekai Eru Hazādo. Very direct title. It was written by Ryoe Tsukimura, directed by Hiroki Hayashi, and it was animated by AIC, which, boy, I haven't seen an AIC thing in a long time. I don't think they still exist.
What is AIC? I've never heard of them.
They are known as Anime International Company.
Ah, I see.
Let's see. They still do stuff, but a lot of it's very, like, I mean, they did the Persona 4 TV show, but a lot of what they do has been flying kind of under the radar.
Definitely an OVA-centric company.
Yeah, lots of OVAs, quite a few movies, actually. Lots of high fan service stuff. Well, actually, it's an interesting mix of stuff. Like, they did Strike Witches. They did, like, Heaven's Lost Property, which is more artsy. They did Astro Fighter Sunred, which was a tokusatsu parody. Wow.
Hey,
Wandering Sun, which is one of the only things I've ever seen that has a good trans woman and a good trans man in the same series. Boy, yeah, they kind of just do a lot.
Yeah, their style seems very eclectic then, I guess. I guess they're just
a
company that was willing to adapt everyone's works no matter what.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty interesting production history then. When exactly was El Hazard made, and isn't it an adaptation or anything, or was it an original production?
Let's see. It began as a 7-episode OVA, so it's not adapted from anything. Like, the OVA came first. The OVA came out in 1995.
Hmm.
So yeah, like, definitely very 90s.
Oh yeah, that's before either of our birth.
I was born in 1994, so I'm older than El Hazard by a little bit.
Oh yeah, okay. Well,
And yeah, it does seem like the entire franchise came from this. Like, it was later made into a TV series, then another OVA series. There's like 2 games.
any notable production staff members that we on our viewers would know about?
I don't think so. The director, like, the writer seems pretty unknown apart from El Hazard. The director is also, like, doesn't do a whole lot.
Well, that's pretty interesting. Usually in the industry for like relatively standout works, you'd get repeat names. But then again, El Hazard isn't that standout, at least not in terms of the modern anime fandom.
Yeah, like, I feel like a lot of series we do in the future are going to be much more incestuous in terms of like, people who worked on this also worked on that. But El Hazard seems like a very big standout in terms of, like, the people who worked on El Hazard don't seem to have done a lot of other isekai, for sure.
I also think that a lot of stuff we'll watch in the future will be very incestuous.
Oh no!
Hey. So yeah, I'd be really interested where this goes. Although the ending does give me pause for concern, as does the cross-dressing sort of premise. First off, for just the general awkward, let's say, treatment of those kind of topics that you'd get from something that was made in 1995.
Yeah.
And second off, because we can already see the sprouting roots of the problems of the future isekai genre in a girl crawling up to the main character and licking his leg. Something which I'm weirdly expecting to see at least 2 or 3 more times in our journey.
I will almost guarantee that we are going to have at least one other first episode of something that will feature the main character cross-dressing, sitting in bed while another person crawls up into the bed and licks their leg.
And that is what's making me worried. But you can see that this clearly feels like it had an influence on what the genre became in the future, even though it's still fairly distant to the more westernized idea of a fantasy setting that would establish itself and the sort of general video gaminess.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, the idea of his powers being based off of him not being drunk, the teacher here, is very different from something that you'd have in future entries of this kind of genre where powers are more based off of straight numbers.
Yeah, I'm also very curious to see how, like, what is the limit of the teacher strength? Like, if he goes completely sober, like, is it going to be a complete OP situation, or is it like, he is extremely strong, but only up to a point?
Yeah, like, I assume, because I think and hope that this is a more, like, restrained setting, that he'll probably be just a powerful guy compared to other powerful guys.
Yeah, like, I think being able to fight off, like, a dozen Bugram, like, I think that's pretty impressive on its own right. Like, it's not enough to stop a war or anything, but it's enough that, he would still be a very important character.
Yeah, and I like that we're not going into, like, more, like, unnecessarily complicated superpowers. I think this is a nice setup for at least why the teacher character is important, because we already have a reason for our other main character to be important.
Yeah.
And I really like that his limit for a superpower is tied to, like, a serious character flaw that he'll have to work with. That's always a super nice setup for future character development.
Yeah. And I also appreciate that Janai, like, does not have a power that is based around, like, like, he doesn't have crazy fantasy magic or anything. It is literally just, he is in the right place at the right time, and they just decided, oh, I guess you're probably our savior. And he said, oh, yeah, you better believe it. Like, I am a sucker for the, being in the right place at the wrong time and just, being the big monkey wrench. I think that's such a cool concept, especially for villains.
Yeah, and I think Janai is going to be a huge monkey wrench to literally every person he even remotely interacts with.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I don't think our big villainess has any idea what she's in for with him.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting, though, to establish that while we are initially introduced to Janai as a fool, that he is indeed fairly charismatic. Like, like, people do listen to him, and, he has a natural sense of authority that makes him not a complete joke. You kind of get why he's there and how he did it.
Like, him being the student council president and the fact that he rigged the election are both really important parts of, informing his character. Like, that ties so clearly into him than, really, kind of quote-unquote ruling over the Bugram. Like, it is the same concept, just on a much bigger scale.
Yeah, and I think that's super cool. What else? Yeah, I would like to see more of Janai's sister, but then again, that's probably reserved for future episodes of the show.
I do appreciate that even with, 40 minutes, for much longer than most series would have for the first episode, they still had the restraint of not showing her for a long time. Like, we focused way more on the characters that we needed to focus on, and then she was kind of slipped in as just she is physically here, and there's something going on.
Yeah, it's good setup. We sort of get the idea that the other two have probably been transported over, but we don't immediately get payoff if that actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was overall a really nice episode.
Yeah.
Do we want to get to our ratings then?
I would love to. Now, it is the second episode, but I would like you to, go over the ratings again. Should probably do it for this.
Our first rating. How spicy was this episode? How much new interesting concepts have been introduced? How much, does this inspire us, make us alive, give us power and energy to face daily life? I'm losing my train of thought. Anyway, how interesting was this, basically? Number 2, how nicey was this episode? How much did we like it? This is going to be more rating our personal enjoyment of this, how much we liked it, how likely are we to continue it, all that stuff, yada, yada, yada. And then lately, how isekai is this episode? How much of our personal conception of what an isekai is and should be does this meet? Thermite has a more modern idea of what an isekai is, whereas I'm subscribing more of a general transported to another world as a concept idea of that rating. So our ratings in that case may be influenced slightly differently. And with that out of the way, Thermite, rating number 1, how spicy was this episode?
I would give it a solid... I don't want to go too high, because I do think, gotta have a little room there. But at the same time, there is so much to chew on without it being overwhelming. I'll give it a 7 in spiciness. It's definitely above average. Way, it's not a mind-blowing, insane premise or anything, but there's enough there that, if this was a curry, it's a curry I would definitely eat again. I genuinely do want to watch episode 2.
Yeah, I'd be excited to watch episode 2 too.
Oh.
Okay, well, I would probably also give it a 7 out of 10. I do agree with your rating. I think it's interesting. It has a super unique aesthetic that I really like. But overall, it's still got a lot of very standard story threads, especially for a story at the time. You immediately notice the main character. And I think if were it not for the really interesting character-focused stuff for some of the other main characters, it would have probably gone lower. But I think overall, it's still got a lot of interesting stuff that I would like to know about, and especially in the world building of El Hazādo itself, the space Death Star, and everything that's going on around it is really intriguing.
Yeah. Also, I do want to state that if this were a 2020 isekai with no history to it, I would assume that Makoto would be, he's still the main character, and the rest of the characters, I really feel like they would be in a flashback, and we wouldn't see them, but they would be in the world. We just wouldn't focus on them. The episode would be 90% Makoto cross-dressing.
I don't know. That kind of depends on what you're going for. I could just see this being a really edgy show about a Janai, but Janai as seen by the person who thinks Janai is cool and in the right.
Yeah.
And he's going to El Hazādo to conquer the world because he's cool like that. And what if he joined the villains upon entering the other world as opposed to heroes?
I can see both of those equally being an entire show.
Yeah. It kind of depends. There's a lot of ways to mess up a good plate of spaghetti. You can oversalt it. You can undersalt it. You can stick your dick in it. It's, there's a bunch of ways to ruin something.
All right, well, let's pull that dick out of the spaghetti and tell me, how much do you nicey this episode?
I would give it a 7 or 8. I think a 7. Let's let this be not an IGN 7 out of 10, but a real one. I think it was very nice and a very enjoyable watch. it didn't blow me away beyond all recognition or anything, but I would super be down to watch more of this. I had fun with this.
All
Maybe
right.
I'll give it like an 8. Maybe I'll give it an 8.
Mhm.
It's a very enjoyable show. There are some problems and something that gives me a bit of pause for what the future of the show might hold, especially whatever is happening in the last few seconds. If we're going
Mhm.
more of a like harem-y, focus a lot on the stuff of the main character route, that's a bit less interesting.
Mm.
That might not be good. If we keep a strong, consistent focus on the more interesting parts of the cast around, I think that would really improve the show. Like, or rather, let it keep a consistent amount of quality. So,
Mhm.
based on the fact that I purely rated on episode 1 and not just my apprehensions about the future, I'm gonna say this is an 8 out of 10.
Okay. I would actually also give it an 8 out of 10. Like, I am so genuinely, like, invested in the world. Not in a... It's weird, because it's not a, like, oh, everything is so new and interesting and completely mind-blowing. Like, it's not that at all, but it's just very well constructed. It is something that like, to me, there is no friction to it. No part of it makes me go, like, oh, I don't want to, or it's not so good. It feels very smooth to me. I wanted to just immediately start watching episode 2. If we weren't doing the podcast, I would have immediately gone to episode 2. And
Same, probably. Yeah.
and while the end scene is a little worrisome, at the same time, like, I'm interested enough in the series to give it the benefit of the doubt. Like, it's done so many things already that could have been very bad, but instead they were, like, interesting or different or fun, that I'm willing to, see how it goes. Maybe this is a misdirect. Maybe it is not a misdirect, but it's still done very well. Yeah.
Okay, and lastly, how much of an isekai is this to you?
I would say this is a 9 out of 10 in terms of isekai. Actually, I feel like it's gotta be a 10 out of 10 isekai for me. Like,
Really? Okay.
Like-
Even though you're saying this is a more modern conception of the concept of isekai, but I can see
Yeah.
where it's coming from. No, elaborate.
I think specifically because we have both Makoto and Janai. Like, I think they both cover different parts of the modern conception of an isekai. Like, we have that, and also the teacher with the super strength. Like, we've got the going to another world. We've got maybe it's a prophecy, maybe it's reincarnation. There's some sexual stuff in there as well. You got the combo of, the character who goes in and immediately takes over and has the big, bold confidence in Janai. We have the more innocent protagonist who doesn't seem to have anything special, but, just due to a quirk of fate, he's still able to do something extremely important in Makoto. We've got, like, I can see so many different parts of a modern isekai all scattered about El Hazard in an interesting way. Like, and I definitely don't want a 10 out of 10 isekai to be like, oh, this is boring,
Just
or
enough-
I don't want 10 out of 10 to say like, oh, it just hits all the points exactly how I expected it to be. I want it to be more of a it hits all the points. And I think it's a big compliment to El Hazard that it hits so many points that I think of as essential 2020 isekai, while at the same time having its own identity and presenting everything in an interesting way. Like, it is so ahead of its time. Arguably, most series have not gotten back to this level of being interesting as an isekai.
You know what? After hearing you say that, I was going to give it a lower rating, but I realized even for my conception of an isekai, this is pretty, this was transported to another world. There's several characters going there. Like, what more would you want? This is a super interesting other world. It's got interesting focus on the characters going there, and it's got an interesting setup for everything going on. I really don't have much to add to what you're saying, actually. I think I would completely agree with you. This is about as isekai-y as you can get.
Mhm.
So, that leaves the overall ratings done. Burmite, do you have any last points that you want to mention on this?
I do want to mention, I looked at the Wikipedia page. I'm trying not to look at too much, but I did see that the quote-unquote sequel to this is a full 26-episode TV series that is notable for being a simplification of the original OVA storyline that also eliminates or alters several of the OVA's major characters.
Oh boy.
Which is... It's interesting that in their decision to go like, oh, this is a big property, let's turn it into an actual TV series, they had to remove things. Like that actually also makes me very excited to watch more of the OVA because
I'm
it sounds like it's very good.
Yeah, I mean, and that makes me very apprehensive about the TV show then, because I'm never a
Mhm.
fan of, well, gonna make this a TV show, so let's take a hack knife to this property.
There's too much in this for a TV show.
This is people won't understand.
Also, the last thing I want to say is El Hazard is mentioned as just another fictional place in the series Magical Girl Lyrical Nanoha, and I don't believe it's an actual like existing myth. I might be wrong. Maybe it is.
Well, we can hit that with a little bit of research right now
Oh.
while I'm saying the sentence to stall for time.
Yes.
To give you the time to type, is El Hazard a real fictional myth, into Google, so that we won't have a long, awkward silence
Now, I've
while
searched.
you're looking this up.
I've looked for El Hazard myth, El Hazard real, and none of the. It all comes up with just the anime. So, I guess that might have just been a reference to the anime.
Huh. I guess it is. And with that, let me reference the ending to our show.
Now, this was an extremely good world to be in. I really enjoyed it, but if we can't stay here forever, where are we going next?
Next time, we're going back on a little stint to our own world because we'll be hitting The Devil is a Part-Timer.
Oh boy, I'm very excited. Like, I think we both know a little bit about the Devil's Part-Timer at the very least.
I actually know a lot less about the Devil of the Part-Timer than I knew going into El Hazard. I know he's got like buddies that are there with him from the other world, and he's like the devil from another world, and he's a part-timer at some kind of pun on McDonald's. I can't be asked to know what this one is. McDonald's? You know how it is. You know how it is.
Oh yeah, I know a little more, but I'm still very excited because I know a little more. I feel like this is going to really push our thoughts on what an isekai is.
You know what? Yeah, let's let this expand our minds on what the genre can be.
Yeah, it's episode 3 and we're already branching out.
Okay, well, with that, we'll see ya in another world.